You're listening to the Oddities podcast.
In terms of people looking to buy a home for the first time,
Right.
people who are living paycheck to paycheck, don't have a lot of money, can't save money, or there's not a lot in their bank account, is it for them, and I've certainly been here myself in the past, it just seems like a pipe dream to ever be able to afford a home. Now, what can people do who don't have a lot of money in terms of buying a home for themselves? Is it possible, or is there things they should be doing to maybe position themselves to where the bank would give them a loan? What do you have to say about that?
I would say the first thing is that people are generally, for whatever reason, people are kind of fearful about going to a lender and a loan officer and a realtor and having these kind of conversations until they think that they're ready. And that's a big mistake. So I would say the first thing is even if you know you're not ready, take the time to meet with a couple different loan officers, like lenders, a couple loan officers. Take the time to meet with a couple realtors, and ask questions. Talk about your exact situation and learn early on, like what it's going to take to get you to where you want to be, so you can start preparing, right? And because you may think you're like. I've talked to people who thought they were ready and they were nowhere near ready. And I've talked to some people who, the opposite's true, where they thought they couldn't buy. And then it turns out that, oh, wait, they're absolutely qualified because there is 0 down loan programs available for first-time home buyers. And a lot of first-time home buyers don't realize that. So a lot of times people think they need to have a certain amount of money saved up, but they might have good income. So, I'd say number one is just connecting with loan officers and realtors and kind of seeing where you're at.
Okay. Mason is a streamer on Twitch. What are we currently playing right now?
Play a lot of different things. Honestly, we kind of jump around depending on who's watching. We take requests, but I play a lot of Teamfight Tactics, which is like a auto chess variant. I play all the major esports, so League of Legends, PUBG, Apex Legends.
My favorite, Apex.
You name it.
My favorite. For those who don't know, and surprisingly there are a lot of people who don't know, which is fucking crazy to me. Explain to the world what Twitch is.
So Twitch essentially is like a live streaming platform. They have a lot of different content, but a lot of it's gaming based. So you think of any major video game, Fortnite, Minecraft, League of Legends, people basically play the games and people come by to watch them play. In some cases, they're professional gamers, so people are watching for like instructional purposes, the same way that you might want to sit in on like a Major League Baseball player's practice, and they basically talk to you as they play the game and tell you like what their thought process is and things like that. There's also people that are more just personalities. They're either really funny or they're just really explosive and outrageous. But yeah, that's essentially what people are tuning in to watch.
I realize that we're in a very interesting time period because not only do people want to buy secondhand, but they also want the option of buying traditionally women's clothes if they're a man. And I am so for that. I have always wanted to see men in dresses and skirts. Am I weird? I don't know.
What? What is this?
I love it.
You guys want to
I
see that?
freaking love men. Yeah.
Well, I dress good. I'm not what?
I love seeing men embrace their femininity.
Wow.
I
don't have that. I don't have much of that.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, there's a lot of people who are non-binary.
That's a good point.
Right? There always have been, but
smart.
now we're finally saying there's a lot of people who are non-binary. There are men who sometimes want to dress like men, sometimes want to dress more like traditionally women's clothes. And I'm the same way. I love wearing men's clothes. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to show this item so that people know it's for anybody.
That's smart.
Jaya was tall and gorgeous and skinny, but sometimes I felt like people were looking at her and going, well, that's obviously not going to fit me. Another thing that I've done is I only shop for medium and up. So no smalls, no extra smalls, because what I saw was everybody selling vintage was selling these tiny dresses for over $100. And I'm like, okay, you didn't pay more than 10 for that because none of us do, right? And you're selling it for $160, and who does it fit? It's this very exclusive club of very young, skinny girls who can shop for vintage.
Mhm.
And I just thought, like, if we truly want to make this available to everybody because it's good for the planet,
Mhm.
then we truly need to make it available to everybody. So it's only medium and up. And a lot of times I always list the measurements, but I will say it will fit up to a women's extra large or a men's large. Um, and I don't show it on a body anymore. And I've actually had more success just showing the clothing than I did when I showed it on a person.
Oh, that's smart. What are you looking for? What's your type? Emo, goth.
Yeah, emo and goth, and like
All right, wait, tall or short, or does height not matter?
I want
What's
him
the
to.
age range?
No,
Give
I
us
don't.
the Bumble age range.
I want him to be immortal,
What?
like a vampire
Uh-huh.
with the long black hair and white face.
So goth and emo.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the age range?
I want him to be 100 plus.
100 plus.
I mean, if he's immortal, I want him to be around a while and
I went to, when I was in New York,
show me how life works.
I was in New York in a club years ago. There was this guy who had white makeup on, contacts that made his eyes look weird.
Dreamy.
He was like, I don't know, and yeah, he was just like all gothed out, basically. Like, there's people like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In New York,
I'm
LA,
looking for them.
probably. Yeah. You've been in real estate at this point how long now?
Just coming up on 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part in the beginning when you first got started? Did you struggle, or was it easier than you thought, harder than you thought? What was the biggest challenge, you think? Staying motivated, or were you just instantly obsessed and went at it? Like,
That's a good question. Well, I've never stopped being motivated
uh-huh.
Because I have this vision of I think life is big,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you think the same thing, and
Uh-huh.
I know Coop think everyone on our team wants that same big life,
Uh-huh.
and we don't think that it's unrealistic. We just know it takes time.
And it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So the first biggest challenge was within my first month, I got fired from my first job in real estate. I got canned.
Why
And
was that?
Because I wasn't a good investment at that
Uh-huh.
point from that agent. He's a good friend of mine, and he
Uh-huh.
has a very successful brokerage in town, and I love him to death.
You still friends?
Totally still friends.
Yeah.
We get lunch
He was just
once
on
a
our
month.
panel.
Yeah, he was just on our real
I
estate
watched
panel.
that. I fired friends. We're not friends anymore.
Yeah,
They're like, no, I don't be friends. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, I did watch that, but yeah, continue. Sorry.
No, but he had radical honesty with me.
Uh-huh.
He said, I'm firing you because you need better training, and we can't afford to keep you."
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Okay." And I told my wife, and she was sobbing on the phone because she just failed her test and thought she flunked out of
So
school.
she's a real estate agent too?
No, she hates real estate.
What was her? Oh, a test. It just
A test with school.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I missed
So,
that. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was the first. I just dropped out of school,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "This is gonna be great. I'm gonna make a lot of money." And then I was like, "I just got canned." So that was the first challenge, and then coming home after the first month, and my wife asking me how my job was, and I'm like, "Well, I make cold calls every day to people that slam the phone on me." And I was like, "She's like, do you like it?" I'm like, "No, but it's just part of the process."
Yeah.
So just teaching myself that it was part of the process.
Also, doing those shitty little jobs makes you
Totally.
appreciate the point when you don't have to, but then also doing that when you do hire or decide to train or take someone under your wing, you could be like, well, here's what I did. You're
Totally.
gonna have to like pay your dues and do the shitty stuff to get to the, you know what I mean? But
You can't go to management school and then start like
Yeah.
managing. You have to be.
Mhm.
You have to start at the bottom.
yeah,
I mean, maybe some people disagree with me on
Uh-huh.
that, but I don't know that a business management degree entitles you to be a manager. I think you earn it by starting out
every
by
job.
doing everything,
well, like every job here that they do, I've done. Like I
Yeah.
did all the packing, listing, and shipping myself for years.
which is why they respect you, and that's why
Do they?
yeah. I don't.
I don't know.
They're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So,
So the hardest part, you got the first month you got canned, and then how long before you got another job in real estate? Or get hired by another firm?
Next
or
day,
was- yeah.
yeah.
just- okay.
So Ben Kinney sat down with me, and he's the owner of 11 Northwest Keller Williams offices.
Okay.
Sat down with me, and he's like, "Look, I like your hustle,
Mhm.
and you like these 3 teams want you to work for them." I'm like, "Well, I don't really know." I'm like, "I'm ready to knock on doors. I'm ready to I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'm not afraid to embarrass myself.
Mhm.
Like, what do I have to do to be successful?" And he was like, "You have to get on the phone and just call through this database." And there's 120,000 people in there.
Oh
He
my
said,
God.
"Here's a dialer system, and I expect you to make 500, 900 dials per day."
What?
And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
Shit.
And did you know that you wanted to be a tattoo artist? Like, at what point in your life you're like, you know what? I think I might try this out.
I don't know. Like I've always been obsessed with tattoos and super into it, and just obsessed with the art of it. You know what I mean? And every time I get a tattoo, I watch it and I'm like, man, how do they do that? Like I can never do that. And then I've been always interested in doing it, wanted to try it. I felt like my art skill was kind of there, but it was just intriguing more so. And then one day, my mom's boyfriend at the time, he was like, "Hey, do you want to buy a tattoo kit?" And I had $100, or I had $80 to my name. He wanted $100 for it, and I was like, "Yeah, you know." And he asked me about it, or I asked him about it, and he said that he'd take $80 for it. So I'm driving to my mom's house, and my wife at the time, she's like, "Hey, we can't buy this for $80." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "We have $80 to our name, and we have to pay PUD because I was on a low income PUD thing." And so drove all the way to my mom's house, and I was like, "Hey, I can't buy it," you know. And they're playing with it on some fake skin, and I picked it up, and it was just like the most natural thing.
Fake skin?
Yeah, it's like
That's
this, like it's not. It doesn't really work. It's like it's
okay.
like a piece of rubber. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, it's like a giant square rubber band, and it just felt so natural to me. Like I welded for a lot of years, so that was like the next, you know, most natural thing I would say. And my mom's like, "Well, do you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And I didn't want to take her money, but she's like, "I'll buy it for you." So I bought it that night. I did 2 tattoos. The next, one on my wife and then one on my sister.
And those are the first ones you've ever done?
Yeah.
Wow. And they just let you just go at it.
Yeah, just went down at it, single
What was
needle.
that, and what was that like? The
Oh
first
my
time were you
gosh,
just like
horrible, embarrassing, like. Because like I know like the industry and I know like what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do, and so like doing I just felt so disrespectful, like disrespected to the industry. You know what I mean? Like first of all, doing it out of a house, not with the proper, you know, sanitary stuff, or cavicide, maticide, anything like that. So I felt just way out of my element, not even being in the industry yet. But it was just so disrespectful. But then the next day I woke up, a couple more tattoos, and I was just studying YouTube. Like I just fell in love with it. You know what I mean?
And how did you get into that? Like what compelled you to start your own business?
Well, I was kind of in an unofficial mentorship. So I worked for a bamboo farm and managed that for 6 years. But while I was doing that, that's seasonal. So during that time, I was at 4 different farming operations. And he advised me to go and work for several different farms. And figure out what kind of farming that I liked. And then that's kind of went from there. Organic mixed vegetable is
and so from there,
to me.
Yeah, and so from there you decided that you wanted to rent your own land so you could grow. And what was the goal at that point? Was it just for yourself? Was it to sell? Was it like what was the vision at that point?
Oh, well, it's always been like hunger justice and to provide food. So I wanted to get into what I'm interested in is wholesale supply. So.
And who do you wholesale to?
Well, what started me was the food bank. So I contracted kale and beets for them for 3 years, and then now I just do beets. But that got me started. So.
And getting started, how did you like get funding to like rent the space and
that was all me. That was all. So I did not take out a loan. I just worked.
Okay. And was there how much land did you rent to start?
2.5 acres.
Okay.
So I started on.
And then did you have to purchase or buy a lot of equipment? Did you have to hire people or get volunteers to help you with it?
It's quite a bit of money up front because like just the organic program alone is, you know, close to $1,000 just to start up.
And what's the organic program? What is that?
WC Organic. It's a certification program that makes sure it's voluntary, obviously, but you can use the organic label, and it's like a vetting program and oversight for how you farm and using organic methods, non-treated seeds.
Okay.
Yeah. But having nothing and then going to something in every class, even if it's one homework assignment, to then like going into high school where they're almost over maxed out and not being prepared is so, I don't know, just like doing such a disservice.
And I don't know how you teach. I mean, I think about school all the time. I don't know how you teach, like say you have a class of 20, 25 kids, all different personalities, all different like levels of intelligence and interest. How do you educate all those? How do you educate the population in mass? How do you find a one size fits all? Like there's not. So you're going to like teach a certain way that's going to, I guess, work for the majority. But then like me, I always hated school, was always bored with it, never liked it, always felt
Mhm.
like it was a waste of time. Even as a college graduate, I still kind of feel like it was a waste of time. Not so much like I made great friends who I'm still friends with on some of them, but it's like I always kind of knew my passions and my interests and just wanted to do that. I'm not very good at feigning interest in things I'm not interested in and being forced to study things that I didn't like. I got terrible grades in school. I did decent in college, but I just didn't care. I'm just like, I know what I want to do and I know what I like. And I had failed in my 20s of making it financially. So around 30, I'm like, well, better go to school and finish up my degree because I'm not figuring it out on my own. So I went to get my psych major, which I did. I got my bachelor's, but then I'm like, I don't want to go to grad school. It's too expensive and I hate school. And so then I was just like, started my own business. But yeah, it's really hard because then the students who don't excel with the grades, they're kind of frowned upon as get your shit together or where you're going to go in life, how you're going to function. But the model has changed so much because in my parents' generation, a college degree was worth something. Like you could graduate with a good degree and get a very nice high paying job back in the day. It's not so true anymore, but also with the advent of the internet, you can
Totally.
now build a business from home. You could do so many different things that weren't available decades ago.
And so, yeah, one thing led to another, and I met up with him, and he gave me a shot, and
And
it
what'd you
worked
think the
out.
first time in there doing it, learning about it? Like, were you instantly hooked or were you like, I don't know?
Oh, I mean, well, I walked in the door saying, "Can I please scrub your bathrooms
Uh-huh.
so that I can just witness this?" I
Oh,
didn't even
wow.
go in
Uh-huh.
there trying to blow glass. I just
Uh-huh.
wanted to be in there. And that led to from cleaning to being packing, all the package management, and to eventually he gave me a shot on the torch. And it was pretty daunting because it's very difficult.
Uh-huh.
But it was also so exciting that it was easy to just keep going back to it, even when things exploded or melted onto the ground
Uh-huh.
or
And did he just like take you under his wing as like an apprentice, or did he actually hire you and you worked there, or?
he really he did the whole package plus some.